City of Northglenn, Channel 8, keeping you informed of events in your community.
Shocking.
Good evening, everyone. I would like to call our May 13th regular City Council session to order. Joanna, would you call the roll, please?
Mayor Dodge.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Escobar.
Here.
Councilmember Sowers.
Here.
Councilmember Leidy.
Here.
Councilmember Downing.
Here.
Councilmember Brown.
Here.
Councilmember Whitman.
Here.
Councilmember Duran-Mullica.
Here.
And Councilmember Wilford will be absent.
Thank you. Will you stand and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance, please? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Last Tuesday, Colorado experienced yet another school shooting at the Highlands Ranch STEM School. 8 students were injured, 1 student was killed. Tonight, we will honor this brave 18-year-old Kendrick Castillo, who lost his life while trying to save others. The courage that he and his classmates displayed in the face of danger is immeasurable, and we are very proud of these heroes. So if you would please join me in a moment of silence to honor the victims and the families. Thank you very much. Our next item this evening is response to citizen inquiry. Is there any this evening?
Yes, Mayor Dodge, a couple updates for you and council. As of today, in regards to the efforts that have been ongoing with Northglenn High School and the impact to adjacent neighborhoods, we've had a total of 28 phone calls, 30 phone calls, and 19 emails. Since April 8th, when I provided the last update, we've had 2 phone calls and 4 emails with pictures of cars or license plate numbers. So the number of complaints has gone down pretty significantly, which is good. So we'll continue to monitor the efforts, and then as we transition into the summer and into the next school year, we'll continue to work with Adams 12 5-star schools in terms of planning for next fall. In terms of the CMR monthly stats, in the month of April, we had 80 requests open. 78 of those requests were closed, so you can tell that spring is upon us. We had 58 of those requests, 58% via the website, 13% were employee entered, and 29% via the mobile app, which is pretty consistent. We're staying within that 30% range. The most requested topic was graffiti. Abandoned vehicle on public property was the second most requested topic. General code enforcement concerns was the third. And then potholes and street repair was the 4th most requested topic, which is pretty common given the time of year. We closed 42 of those requests between up to 3 days. 4 to 7 days, we had 13 of those requests closed. For 10 of those requests, it took us 8 to 11 days, and then 12 plus days for 8 of those requests. And that's all I have.
All right, thank you very much. Are there any agenda additions or deletions from the council? None? All right. We will move right to a proclamation this evening. If council would join me down front, we will be reading a proclamation for Cinco de Mayo. have Lillian Gutierrez here to accept. Would you come up also? That's not looking too good there.
It's permanent.
It's
It's
permanent. Oh, my goodness. How are you this evening? Good. I'm good. Antonio Escobar is the person who requested this proclamation.
Okay.
Whereas Cinco de Mayo began with a proclamation from President Benito Juarez of Mexico as the date observed to commemorate the Mexican Army's victory over the French Empire at the Battle of Puebla on May 5, 1862, under the leadership of General Ignacio Zaragoza. And whereas this battle is significant in that 4,000 Mexican soldiers were greatly outnumbered by the well-equipped elite French army of 8,000 that had not been defeated in almost 50 years. And whereas had Mexico not defeated the French in Puebla, Mexico, France would have gone on to aid the Confederacy in the American Civil War, and the United States' destiny would have been different. And whereas on June 7, 2005, the U.S. Congress issued a concurrent resolution calling on the President of the United States to observe Cinco de Mayo with appropriate ceremonies and activities. And whereas Cinco de Mayo has evolved into cultural celebrations in many communities across the United States, meant to honor Mexican culture and heritage through parades, music, dance, and traditional foods. And whereas the City of Northglenn wishes to celebrate Mexican culture and heritage and recognizes the importance of Cinco de Mayo, now therefore I, Harold Dodge, Mayor of the City of Northglenn, do hereby proclaim May 5th, 2019 as Cinco de Mayo Day in the City of Northglenn and encourage all of our residents to recognize and celebrate Mexican heritage on Cinco de Mayo and throughout the year. Dated at Northglenn, Colorado, this 13th day of May 2019. And we are going to present this to you, Lillian.
Thank you.
And if you would you like to say a few words?
Yes, I would.
All right.
I'd like to tell you that actually Cinco de Mayo was celebrated first in California beginning in 1863. I had all of this history, but it was taken from me. But it really wasn't celebrated as extensively until the 80s. In the 80s, it began to be celebrated everywhere. And it really is the celebration of the Mexican-American culture in the United States. And it really is one of the largest celebrations that is held in the United States.
Yes, it is.
And I thank you personally for doing this. The City of Northglenn has many Mexican Americans. And I have to honestly tell you that Antonio and I were very new, probably in the 80s. We were very new to Cinco de Mayo because our families have been here for generations and generations. And, but we are very happy that this happened, and we thank you all for doing this.
Well, we will continue doing it now every year. How does that
Okay,
sound?
that sounds great.
Maybe you'll come and receive it every year.
If I'm able to, sure.
Well, we'd love to take a picture with you, so we don't want to
Okay.
make you have to move too much. Maybe council, can we gather around Lillian instead of making her?
I have a long time polio victim, so this is, I was not quite too.
Yeah, let's surround Lillian. That would be great. Joyce, you can come right in front of me. Right here.
You good? Great. Now we'll be in every Instagram.
Thank you for a great job, coming.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Lillian, for joining us this evening.
We want to see that frame when I come see you.
Okay.
You guys have to stay. Also this evening, we are giving a dedicated service award to Jerry Hunt, who serves on the Park and Rec Advisory Board. If you would come up, sir. You want to talk first? I was going to have Amanda Peterson come forward and say a few words about your great service to the city. How does that sound?
Sounds good.
All right. Thank you. Hi, Jerry.
So, thank you, Mayor Dodge. We just wanted to say, Jerry, thank you for your 3 years of service with our Parks and Recreation Advisory Board. Jerry has been an active member of our board for the last 3 years. He is actively participating in each of the meetings. He always brings very thoughtful questions to us for discussion amongst the board members. And I know he cares very passionately about our parks and open space, particularly Northwest Open Space and Oscar Arnold Nature Area, which are right in his backyard. So we will continue to see him in that capacity, I hope, as well as through other input opportunities with Parks and Rec that maybe don't require you to sit here for a monthly meeting with us. So we appreciate your service and hopefully we'll see your continued participation.
Well, I appreciate having been in the meetings. I got a big appreciation for what Parks and Rec, both the board and the organization, city organization did. I was very impressed. And I will stay active as long as I'm able.
Thank you.
That's all for a group photo. I'm happy you go right up front.
Stay.
Stay down.
Be careful about it.
You stay down.
Oh, you just stand next to me.
Great.
Hold on, Jerry says one more. Jerry says one more. It's your glamour shot.
Okay, excellent. Good, Thank you.
Congratulations, Jerry.
Nice job.
Keep everything going.
Yeah. Keep them cards and letters coming in.
Hi, Jerry.
Okay. You guys got it down.
Really?
My nose just went, oh, no.
Got you. No more pickle. Yeah.
Thank you. We next have a presentation of the 2018 audit with Kristen Hughes and Jason Loveland.
Hi, good evening, and thank you, Mayor, members of council. I'm just going to introduce Kristen Hughes from our independent audit firm, RSM US. This is the annual communication and presentation that they'll provide. It's kind of a trust but verify portion of my job and the finance job in the city as a whole, that we have somebody come in for several weeks and check all of our numbers. And you have the audited financials in your packet, and Kristen is going to summarize those 112 or so pages into about a 10 slide presentation. So I'll turn it over to her.
Thank you. Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening.
As Jason said, we've put together a presentation that'll go through some of the highlights of both the financials as well as what we refer to as auditor communications. That's really an update as to the audit itself. As you mentioned, I won't go through the 100 and some pages of the document. Before I start on this, though, there are just a few areas in the financials I usually like to point out. In the CAFR, obviously it is a large document, so just kind of as a overall, just kind of quick rundown of the information provided in there. It starts with introductory information. Management prepares a transmittal letter that gives highlights about the city for the year. The next section that I usually do like to point people to is management's discussion and analysis. And what that specifically goes through is a little bit more detail of what I'm going to do now is comparing the 2018 results to 2017. And management goes through and analyzes if there's any significant fluctuations, in any revenue or expense accounts, for example, and why that occurred. So again, that's it's just a very few condensed pages, but it highlights anything unique about this year's results compared to the prior year. Then you have your basic financials for each of your legal funds. You have your footnotes where you give detailed information to the readers about your investments, your capital assets, any debt you have outstanding, your pension plans, tax abatements, things like that. And then at the back of the document, you have your statistical section, which again, this area is unaudited, but it's good because most of the schedules give a 10-year history in some of the areas such as debt, revenue streams, and then just general demographic and operational information. So lots of times people find some good information in the back, just because, like I said, you can see a lot of 10-year history trends on property tax revenue, sales tax revenue collections, and things like that. So that's a really quick rundown of what is in the document as a whole. But here, going through just some of the information we wanted to highlight. Revenue, and this is in your governmental funds. So this will be like your general fund and your capital projects funds, for example. If you look at total revenue this year compared to prior year, you'll see this year was about $37 million compared to just under $33 million in the prior year. So that's an increase of about $4.2 million or 13%. About half of this was in increased tax revenue collections that you saw this year, both in property taxes and some of your other tax revenue sources. The other half was the funds recognized almost $2 million, in contributions this year. A lot of that was related to the Ralston House project you're doing, that other entities provided funding for that. So the revenue was recognized this year along with the construction being completed on that. Most of the other categories, as you can see, are pretty comparable year over year. And the next slide here, you see expenditures presented by function, again, in the governmental funds. So comparing this year of $42.8 million to the prior year of 38, that's about a $4.6 million increase or 12%. And as you'll see on the yellow bar there, most of that is in capital outlay. So increased capital projects and capital spending in this year compared to the prior year. Net position, this is the governmental term for really equity in your governmental activities. So governmental activities will exclude your business type, meaning your water and wastewater funds. But this shows you how your net position or equity is divided into the three categories that you're required to present. So the blue represents your net investment in capital assets, just meaning all the resources. Obviously in a city, you're going to expect a very large amount that is accounted for with all the capital assets that a municipality is going to own on behalf of its residents. The green section represents restrictions, meaning a third party has restricted how you spend those funds. Most of yours is either restrictions for the parks and open space or your emergency funds you have for your TABOR that you're required to maintain. And then the last category is unrestricted. So equity that does not have a restriction on how it's spent unless anything determined internally by management. This slide here for your general fund, which is your operating fund, shows how unassigned fund balance, so fund balance is the similar equity term for your funds, and unassigned means, again, there are no restrictions. So this compares what your unassigned fund balance was at the end of the year compared to how much your expenditures are throughout the year. So in theory, hypothetically, if revenue ceased, how long could your unassigned fund balance cover expenditures that you would have going forward? So you all have a very high, like a good high percentage here as far as the amount you maintain compared to your operating expenditures. And again, very similar, here's the general fund split into the categories. So again, blue being the unassigned is your largest category. Restricted is some of those similar items. The emergency, the general fund is where you again show those emergency funds for TABOR requirements. This is the operating results for your enterprise funds. So again, enterprise funds are those that operate more of a business type nature, so your water and wastewater. You'll see here that operating revenue in the current year increased about $1 million or 8% compared to the prior year. Expenses went up about $500,000 or 4%. Depreciation expense, we note that just because it's a significant expense in the funds, but it's a non-cash expenditure. So in the fourth category there, you can see what net income was in your business funds, excluding depreciation. And again, that's just relevant because it's a non-cash expenditure in the fund. So again, you'll see an increase of about 8% in the current year compared to what the funds earned in the prior year. And lastly, the enterprise funds are the only funds in your financials that are required to present cash flow statements. So those are something private companies usually look at. And so they're relevant, again, for business type funds. And so you'll see there, specific to the cash flows from operations category, that your funds do generate a positive cash inflow from the operations being performed in those funds. Here's a summary of the items that we're required to communicate at the conclusion of our audit. So the first item you'll see, as far as the audit opinion we issued, it is an unmodified or clean opinion. Unmodified is the term used by the AICPA, and what that means is that the financials are materially presented in accordance with GAAP. So this is the highest opinion that we as auditors can issue on financial statements, no material departures or deviations. The city did implement this year, you did implement it's GASB 75, and what that is it's specific to post-retirement benefit liabilities. It didn't have a significant impact on the financials, that's why it's noted no significant changes, but similar to some of the changes that were done in pension, you have an actuary that analyzes because you allow retirees to stay on your medical plan. They analyze for you, looking out into the future, what are the estimated costs now for the city because of that benefit offered. And so that liability is recorded on your financials. It doesn't change anything it doesn't change anything as far as you having to fund that or anything. It's just really an accounting liability that just says those are costs that will be incurred in the future if nothing changes about the plan and how it's provided to individuals. The next item, this is just to let you know, under auditing standards, we take into considerations any account balances or transactions that are significant accounting estimates in the financials or involve a component of subjectivity. So an example is depreciable lives of capital assets. Management has to estimate how long they think your capital assets are going to last and therefore how long to depreciate them over. So really, as part of the audit, we're taking a look at, one is, are things being recorded in the financials consistent with the policies that you've approved? And also, do they seem consistent with what we would expect to see in other municipalities similar to you all? And so no issues came up as far as the significant areas that we looked at there. Audit adjustments, we only had 3 audit adjustments as part of the audit, and they were specific to the Church Ditch Water Authority. So just a few items primarily related to debt that they've issued, but just 3 instances where the original trial balance provided to us, we noted errors. Those adjustments were made and they're reflected in the audited financials that you're seeing. Uncorrected misstatements, these are items that were determined to be immaterial by both management and ourselves. So they have not been reflected in the financials, and instead they're just summarized in the documents. Really, both of these are just timing issues. We take into consideration cutoff. Are you recognizing expenditures in the proper period occurred? And we just noted one error as far as a payable that lapsed both periods. So really, with things like that, they really work themselves out by the first month of the following year. But we go ahead and note those just because expenditures at that moment in time, there was a little bit of a difference. Disagreements with management, difficulties, those would always be communicated to you if anything significant came up, and there were none. Footnote 5 of the financials, you'll see future accounting pronouncements, so just making you, the readers, aware if there's any significant accounting pronouncements coming up that the city will be required to implement that could have a significant impact on the financials. The GFOA submission, you all do submit your CAFR for the GFOA certificate. So in this year's audited financials, you'll see the certificate that you were awarded for the 2017 CAFR. I know they're going to be submitting this year's as well. You know, that's not a requirement, but it's a very positive reflection on entities. It's something I definitely, that's encouraged. It really kind of highlights the importance that an entity places on its financials, transparency, et cetera. There are additional requirements to qualify for this certificate. So when I talked about the stat section and things like that, those are all things that take, a lot of time on the part of management to compile that data to receive that certificate. So that's always nice to be able to point that out. Feedback we receive is that bond rating agencies look favorably upon that when they go through their ratings. That's something they're looking for to see if entities, submit for the GFOA certificate. So last item there, we are required to report to you if we identified any material weaknesses or significant deficiencies during the audit, and there were none. So you'll see a letter included that really just defines what those are and concludes that there were none. We do not give an opinion on internal controls, but we certainly, as we're going through our testing, are taking those into considerations, and if we become aware of any issues, we do communicate those to you, so. Any questions? I know that was quick, but anything on the financials or the audit, anything I can go through with you?
Questions for Kristen? None? Thank you,
All
Kristen,
right,
very much.
thank you very much. Have a good evening.
Thank you, and thank you to our finance department, everybody from the manager on down for a glowing report. Thank you very much. We will move to public invited to be heard, limited to 5 minutes per speaker. Statements shall be related to city business and limited to matters of community interest. I have two people who signed up the sign-up sheet, and Dwayne Tidwell, you are first, so come on up. You could state your name and address. Well, I've got it right here.
I'm Dwayne Tidwell, and I'm part of a group called Northglenn Youth Incorporated. So my wife is with me tonight, Marion. She's on our board. Dan Dellinger's with me. He's on our board. He's a pastor of First Southern Baptist Church in Northglenn. And another one of our board members wanted to be here, Henry Rivera. He owns Northwestern Electric, which is a business on Irma Drive. And anyway, so that's kind of our group. There we have two other board members that live here in Northglenn, but I know we've probably talked to some of the board members or the city council over the past few years. Some are kind of know what we're about, some don't. So that's what I was going to try to do, is talk to you a little bit about what we do. And we've been involved in Northglenn, gosh, since probably the mid-'60s when Northglenn became a city. And the only function that we have is we offer scholarships to Northglenn students that are going to go on to post-high school education, whether it's college or universities, vocational schools, culinary schools. But that's what we do, is offer scholarships to those those individuals. And this year, we were able to offer 15 scholarships to some of the Northglenn students that were going to go on to mainly college and universities, I think, this year. But also we wanted to thank Northglenn. A couple of years ago, you helped us, the city council helped us. We owned a little bit of land here in Northglenn, and we needed to get it rezoned so we could sell it. And you were helpful in helping us to get that rezoned. So we were able to sell it, and with those funds, we were able to continue to offer our scholarships to the Northglenn students. So that's been a great benefit for us. And so we continue to offer scholarships. Each and every year as school gets near an end, we get applications from most of the high schools in the area that we can think of that Northglenn students may be going to. This year we had Northglenn High School, Thornton, Mountain Range, Horizon, Stanley Lake High School, actually. So the Northglenn students went to those schools. So we offer those scholarships to those kids, and any and all help that you can give us, we'd appreciate. But we just want to come here tonight and let you know that that's what 15 scholarships this year. Each one was $3,000, so we were able to offer $45,000 in scholarships this year. So,
That's amazing.
and I've sent most of you that the students are in your wards, so you know who came out was in your wards that got scholarships. So that's kind of what we do. But I appreciate your help.
Well, you should
All right.
come here and sing your praises, because that's quite a lot of money to offer in scholarships, and they're always needed, so.
Oh, it is.
Thank you very
Great bunch
much
of
for your
students, too.
service
They're
to the
awesome.
city, and, I mean, not to the city, but to kids, so, thank you.
Well, thank you very much.
Thanks for coming up tonight.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. John Algie is next. Hi, John, how are you?
Good evening, Mayor Dodge, members of council. How are you this evening? I'm happy I have 5 minutes to speak, and Thornton only have 3. So I'll try not to push my luck on the 5. I tend to babble quite a bit. So first of all, though, my wife Diane and I attended our first food truck carnival on Friday evening, and we were very impressed with everything, the layout, the vendors, periodic with their special Northglenn 50th anniversary beer, which was amazing. So great job on that, and looking forward to.
Your waitress, can I have a little bit?
Yes, absolutely, Becky, of course. Councilor Brown, excuse me. So yes, absolutely, did a great job. So, and but anyway, I am here this evening representing Rotary Club Northglenn Thornton, and we offer our congratulations to the city of Northglenn in a very spirited competition with the city of Thornton. It was very close, but you won. Yes, you did. Yes, Northglenn won. Yes, congratulations. And I will say this, however. The city of Thornton will have 2 new locations for drop boxes next year, so y'all are gonna have to step your game up even more, because I spoke, Clay Cunningham, our president-elect of our Rotary Club, and I spoke to, Sevy's his first name, I forget his last name, he's the new Parks Director in Thornton, and he is allowing us to utilize his space for food collection, but that'll be more for city employees, because they kind of don't want you there unless you're obviously, kind of like the M&O here, so. And then also Trailwinds Recreation Center will be opening in time for the food drive next year. So, okay, I'm looking forward to it. But of course, at the end of the day, though, our 4 agencies that fight hunger here in Northglenn and in Thornton are the true winners and the clients. Good Shepherd Presbyterian Church and Immaculate Heart of Mary Catholic Church here in Northglenn, and in Thornton, Thornton Food Bank and Food for Hope. And now I'm a volunteer with Food for Hope as well because of this food drive. And we had our last thing today, our last packing of the school year. So great organizations. So I do want to also say that we have a couple events coming up. I believe we have a duck derby coming. And that'll be my first one. So, and that's 4th of July, of course. And it's in coordination with the 4th of July festival here. And I do want to thank, on behalf of our club, I want to thank the city of Northglenn for hosting us, for allowing us to have our duck derby at Rains Park, and then also for allowing us to have a presence at the Red and Blue Festival upcoming on June 1st, which I'll be at for the beginning part. So looking forward to helping our first responders out with that. So trying to think what else I have to say, and that's what happens when I speak too long, I tend. But yeah, also, I want to say, though, with our fundraiser at Duck Derby, what we do, in fact, we're recruiting sponsors as we speak, and we're selling tickets. And the money goes to, for one thing, last week we had our scholarship awards at our meeting last week. We gave out $12,000 in scholarship money to there's 3 young ladies, 2 from Legacy and 1 from Horizon. Wow. And so that's where part of the money goes to if you are a sponsor or if you buy tickets for Duck Derby. Also, it goes to our CASA during Christmas season, because our club members, we go and get gifts for children that are court-appointed, they need help transitioning into foster care. So that's part of it, and also our food drive. So our food drive, we raised about $10,000, $11,000. I've got some ideas on how to improve on that, though. So, and I think, I have to reach out to Periodic and Mother Tucker on that. I think they'll be receptive, but I want to discuss it until I get approval. I have approval from the club. I just need to get approval from the owners. I think I'll be able to. I think I can be able to persuade them, but I want to make sure that's official, and then I'll come back and talk about that some more. So I think that's all I have. So I hope everybody gets tickets for Duck Derby. I hope everybody comes out for Red and Blue Festival as well, I thank all of you and love you guys, so I think I'm done talking, so for now. So thank you for all you do. Love you. I'll see you soon. Take care.
Thank you, John.
Right, thank you.
So, John, before you leave, what does Thornton think about you attending all these Northglenn things? And
Well, end of the day, Adams County. The one thing I've noticed, I've been here a resident for 9 months in Thornton. My wife and I, we love it here. I love, back in Stark County, Ohio, in Canton, where we're from, there's community, but it's not like here. Adams is a bit different, in a good way. We want to help each other out, whether we live in Northglenn, where we live in Thornton, Westminster, Brighton, Commerce City. We're all in this together, so that's the important thing.
well, we appreciate your involvement. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Take care. I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you. So, Heather, was there social media about us winning that?
No, Debbie just found out today. I was just texting with her, and so she has given Summer and John some information. We'll get all of that pushed out tomorrow.
Okay,
So,
awesome.
A nice surprise.
I just know if Thornton won, it would be all over that they won. So
We will
I'm just
win.
saying.
We'll see. We still have
We can
that.
get 4 new sites if they're getting 2 more.
Yeah. Well, thank you, John. That was good information.
John, we have that great big billboard up by 25. We'll be announcing it on that.
All right, is there anyone else in the public that would like to come up and be heard this evening? There's no one else who's signed up. Okay, thank you very much. We will move to Legislative Policy Committee update. Is there one this evening?
There is not. We did not meet. The legislative session ended on May 3rd, and so we're going to take a break. It was very active, so.
All right, thank you very much. Then we will move to our financial report for March 2019 with Jason. Good evening again.
Good evening. So the first quarter of 2019, we'll brief you on this. We're looking at a lot of numbers today, so bear with us. Start off with sales and use tax update. As you can see here, that is up almost 8%, 7.7% over 2018. And I'll go into some of the underlying numbers there, as we typically do. This is first only reporting the first 2 months of the year for January and February that get reported through March. Sales tax specifically is up 2%. Our auto use tax is up 25%. The marijuana tax is up 19%. And then one big number in this category is our audit revenue. So this is one time that we kind of try to exclude sometimes because it's not going to be an ongoing thing. That's up 130%, which makes up $70,000 of that 251.
Can you explain to me what that is again?
So when we do, our sales tax team goes and does compliance audits. So these are just, could be multi-year audits back to 3 years of taxes that were not remitted to the city. So.
Thank you.
Yeah. On page 10, I believe, of the more detailed packet, we look at like the geographic codes, and you can see some ups and downs in there. One thing that I wanted to pull from that and note that we don't report in the geographic areas is our out-of-city and out-of-state remitters are actually up 40% through the year. So that's a lot of online businesses or out-of-state where they just don't have a presence in Northglenn and they're remitting. We've seen an increase in the first couple of months of the year of over 100 licenses for that. So I just wanted to make a note.
And how much did you say that was? 40?
Well, it's up 40%. I didn't pull the number.
I just think
Yeah. And then food tax is up 8% on the year. Then I'll touch base on the general fund. You'll see year-to-date revenues are at $4.7 million. That's up about 2.4% year over year. Expenditures are at $5.2 million. Again, that's also up 2.5% on the year. If you look at the far right column on the collection and spending rate through the first quarter, everything is in line with what we would expect year over year, and then just in accordance with our actual budget that we had a plan for. In the Conservation Trust Fund, revenues are at $150,000. Those are lottery proceeds specifically. Expenditures are $366,000. The 4 projects really that make up the Conservation Trust, these are one-time capital plans. The Greenway Trail project, the Kiwanis Splash Pad, the Phase 1 of Northwest Open Space, and then Sensory Playground. Again, in the main packet, there's detail of all the capital projects throughout the year. The Capital Projects Fund, again, total revenues, $1.3 million, and expenditures of $900,000. 2 major projects driving those expenditures, the Civic Campus project, about $400,000, and then Northwest Open Space, $300,000. So the majority of the projects this early in the year, before you're starting road projects and things like that, are made up of just projects that are carrying over from the prior year. In the Water Fund, total revenues of $1.6 million approximately. User charges and fees, those are up 1.2% year over year. Consumption is actually down 2.5% year over year over the first couple of months of 2019. Expenditures are at $1.8 million, and that's down about 1.6% year over year. But all of the categories within the fund, as far as collection and spending, are in line. Next, on the wastewater fund, user charges and fees are up 5.5%. Again, with the winter average year over year, that's down slightly from what we would have forecast. But conservation is a good thing. It just has its influence on revenues. As you can see, total expenditures are just under $1.3 million, the wastewater fund through the first quarter. Stormwater fund, revenues at $83,000 and expenditures of $21,000. The revenues are flat. That's a fee charge, and that fee did not change in 2019. And then the last fund is the sanitation fund, with revenues of $366,000, which is up 1.6%, and then expenditures of $270,000. One thing in the expenditure side of things that has not had an impact yet, it may not have a significant impact on the fund in a total, but just our recycling program. I don't know if you guys see things online or in the news about the cost to recycle. We talk about the fee that costs us per ton to deliver recyclables. Right now, we're paying about $50 a ton, and that's up from $18 a ton a year ago. So you can see that has really changed. It's not a huge expense in the fund, but it's definitely something within all of the underlying numbers that we need to pay attention to and that we're trying to keep track of the best we can. So with that, again, just to wrap up, general fund revenue that we kind of focus on up 2.4%, sales and use tax growth, a fantastic 7.7% for this time of the year, and then spending and whatnot are in line. Cash and investments at the end of the first quarter total $68.5 million, and that's up from $60 million in 2018. So with that, that is the first quarter summary that I have, and I can answer any questions you might have.
Questions from council? For Jason?
All right.
Jason, because I know you haven't memorized, what page am I going to for myself? Never mind, I found it myself.
I didn't even have to speak. You just,
It was
Eureka.
just read it.
All right, thank you.
Thank you,
Yep.
sir. We will move to our consent agenda this evening.
Move to approve.
Second. Please open the vote, Joanna.
The vote is open.
Please vote. Becky, she's getting signed in here.
Sorry about There you go.
Alrighty, I'll close that vote, and the consent agenda passes unanimously.
Thank you. We will move to ordinances first reading, CB 1927. Joanna, would you read the title, please?
A bill for a special ordinance amending the 2019 budget, recognizing revenues and appropriating expenditures by supplemental appropriation for the payment of the costs and expenses of the municipal government, agencies, and offices of the City of Northglenn, Colorado for the fiscal year beginning January 1, 2019.
Thank you.
Move for approve. Second.
All right. Heather, would you like to share anything on this, or?
No formal presentation, Mayor Dodge, since
Okay.
it's an item on first reading. It'll be scheduled for second reading and public hearing at the next regular council meeting.
All right. Any questions from council before I open the vote? None? Joanna, would you open the vote, please?
The vote is open.
Please vote.
I'll close that vote, and CB 1927 on first reading passes unanimously.
Thank you. We will move to resolutions tonight, CR 49. Joanna, would you read the title?
A resolution accepting the audit of the comprehensive annual financial report for the city of Northglenn for the year ended December 31, 2018.
Move for approval. Second.
Thank you, Mayor Dodge. No formal presentation, in addition to the presentation you've already seen
All right.
this evening. I would ask that Jason make an introduction briefly before you take the vote.
Okay, thank you.
So thank you again. I do want to thank my staff, specifically Joanne Koenig, who's here tonight. She pretty much is the person that put all of that together and worked really diligently with the auditors. She joined us at the end of December and jumped into a huge project. And so I wanted to give her special recognition. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Joanne.
Thank you.
So
And where did Joanne come from, Jason?
she came from Thornton. So
See how we all share everything?
so we won that too.
Thank you. Yeah. Joanne, thank you so much. I'm sure you're so happy to join the team and then get that big responsibility, right? But you handled it like a trooper. All right. Well, thank you so much. All right. Council have any questions before the vote? No? Joanna, would you open the vote, please?
The vote is open.
Please vote.
I'll close that vote, and CR 49 passes unanimously.
Thank you. We move to discussion items this evening, and we are going to have a first quarter update from Jim May for our police department. Good evening.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Actually, this is our first go at a quarterly report, so please give feedback if there's something else that you would like to see. But typical Jim May fashion, I'm going to start at the back, and then I'll move forward on the memo. So just want to start with social media. The first thing I want to talk about is our Facebook. Renee Lair, who oversees that, really wanted me to emphasize that our followers are organically grown. So we didn't pay any sites or anything else to attract those to our Facebook, and we're going to be hitting 6,000 pretty soon, so that's pretty exciting. The first quarter, we had 60 posts, and over 200,000 people actually reached out, to us and looked at those posts. The other thing, too, that we utilize is Twitter, and we really use that for our critical incidents, communicating with the media. So that's been a very important tool. And then once we release it on Twitter, then we push it to our Facebook. But one of the things that really, I guess they're telling us that Facebook is for the old people, and I have to get with it. So, the next thing that actually we're going to do this month is Instagram. So that's going to help us in our recruiting and everything. So I still don't get the #, whatever, but that's, but that's something, hashtag, I know. But we're pushing that out this month. I'll let you know how that goes. Then the other thing too is, just like tonight with the communications that we're doing, our PIO, who's Renee Lair, the city manager, and Heather Grady, who's, trying to come up with, the communication and assist us on the information that we roll out. So, already in the connection, we, do some of our, crimes, criminal trespass, burglary, auto thefts. However, we need to grow that bigger. There has to be some substance to it, and I think that's one of the things that came out of it. So we're going to start, our first phase of that is, we're going to do some more education. Then we're going to do, right now, we have a lot of great tools that you can use on our website. However, nobody knows how to use them. So we're going to push out an education plan on how to, go into our crime mapping, how to check on the sex offenders, how to do, just really utilize our site. So we're going to do a lot of education of the community over the next several months to make that happen. So then they can also, look on, and if they have something in their neighborhood going on, it's instant. So the system we currently have for those certain crimes, once it happens, an officer puts it in the system, it updates the map. So we're hoping to do that with all the different crimes, and including traffic accidents, our high traffic accident locations, so that can just be up to date all the time, that they can access that. So that's really important for us to do. And then again, making sure that they sign up for our notification systems, the Code Red system, that they can go out and sign up and make sure that if anything happens in the area, they are notified. And then, again, we want to do some creative things on our crime prevention. Really push out on how, how to prevent themselves from being a victim of a crime. So you're going to see a lot more of that over the next year. The next thing I want to talk about is some of our traffic enforcement that we've been doing. We've also, with this, the schools and the complaints that were going in around this, schools. So we actually used overtime dollars to hit some of those, high complained areas, but also our school zones in the morning and afternoons. So we utilized, you can see the memo, about $500 that month of March. But, we had a great impact. We had a lot of community members call in saying, hey, it was great visibility, seeing the officers out there. So we continue that, and we're going to continue that to the end of school. So that's some of the things that we're doing. Also, actually, the city manager touched upon, some of the things that we're doing down at the high school. Our school resource officer, Paul Scadam, going out there and really connecting with the, school personnel, really connecting with the neighbors and everything else. I think it was great. The city manager, we met with the school district, and they agreed to bring a lot of those cars. I think they opened it up to like 33 permits they allowed. So we pulled those 33 cars out, parking in the neighborhoods back onto school property. So again, throughout, it's coming down to the end of the school, but we'll continue that and then try to jump on it right away, first of the school year coming up in August. Let's see. Also, according to the Northglenn Municipal Court, the Northglenn Police Department issued the following citations during the first quarter. Almost 900 traffic tickets, 106 parking tickets, 184 criminal tickets, 10 animal control tickets, and 11 code and zoning tickets on public property. So that's what keeping pretty busy there. So then I want to go into the staffing update. So currently, we have 2 officers, Tyler Lynch and Zach Frazier, who will be graduating in June from the Adams County Academy. We also were able to get 4 slots for the April Academy, and we did a hiring process then, and we ended up sending Yash Mehta, Chris Rothenblatt, Cameron Woods, and Trevor Woods, brothers. This is the first time in Northglenn history that we hired brothers, but they're fantastic. But from that list, we only had 4 slots, but it was such a good process. We have 3 that are left on that list that will go to the July Academy. And so that's really exciting. So currently we have 9 vacancies, but I reserved 6 slots at Adams County and 6 slots in Highlands Ranch, just in case. And we're currently in the oral board process of new hires, and they're going really well. I think out of the 2 days, I think we have 7 that have passed, and they look really good going into the rest of their testing process. And then what I'm really excited about, we're finally fully staffed at the levels of commander and sergeant. We had an outside competitive process, internal and external competitive process for both commander and sergeant. I am happy to say that we have 3 sergeant promotional positions, and actually they went to 3 internal candidates. They did, really well. So your new sergeants, Scott McNeely, Jared Guzman, and Ron Behrens. So they were promoted on 4/27, but we're going to actually do the ceremony. Joanna Small's going to swear them in on Wednesday night. I hope you guys can attend. It's super exciting. But along with those 3 sergeants, again, this was an internal, external commander process, and it was super competitive, but I can tell you that 2 really stood out, and I kind of brought them with me tonight, and I would love to introduce them to you before we do the swearing in on Wednesday. And Heidi Waltz, we got her from Broomfield, and then we also got, and we also got Mike Prang, who we got from Jeffco, so they're going to join us. I do all the talking all the time, and I thought I would let them introduce themselves and why they're excited to be here, and then you can just hammer them with questions if you would like. So I'm going to leave it up to you. Since I'm the last one batting cleanup tonight, I'm going to leave it up to you. But I can tell you, I'm super excited. I've spent a lot of time with them so far. We're doing the onboarding process right now, and I can tell you as a chief, I felt a weight being lifted off me because they're very competent, capable people, and I look so forward to the future leadership of this department. So I'll turn it over to Heidi first. Go ahead.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. How are you doing?
Very good. Welcome to
Good.
Northglenn.
Just a little bit about me. Thank you very much. I'll let you know I'm super excited about this. Like you said, the super excited is there. I spent about 27 and a half years at Broomfield, so a very close neighbor here, and did a lot of things with Northglenn as a neighboring jurisdiction when I worked over there. And so I know a lot about the department, and I'm really hoping that with me and Mike coming in as outsiders, the chief has talked about, hey, he wants to do some new and innovative things and look at some things that we're the two that are going to help him do that. I'm a very team person, so teamwork is crucial for me, just to let you know. So I'm hoping to bring that teamwork concept. I played sports, if you can't tell. I was a gymnast. Okay. I try to use that. Some people get it, sometimes they don't, but at least some people. So I play basketball and volleyball. So very team oriented. I think I bring that in there, as well as I'm kind of an innovative technology type person. So I'm hoping to bring the chief with me into the 21st century.
So that would be awesome.
Pound sign.
Hashtag chief.
So we're hoping to bring him with them. Other than that, really happy that the team so far has been really accepting and wanting, really excited that we're both here. And so I'm hoping that we can continue that and just grow the department the way that the city wants us to grow. So thank you very much.
So excited to see a woman commander. That's so cool.
Thank you.
Love
I'm
it.
really happy. Mike?
Thank you.
Opt
Good
out.
evening.
Yeah, like, all excited. We
I
want
gotta
you
do
there
this
too.
though when I follow up with her. Mike Prang, as the chief said, I came from Jefferson County Sheriff's Office. I started there in '90, so just shy of 29 years as I grew up through that organization. Had the ability to go in all 4 divisions there, from patrol, summer detentions, court security. Been a lieutenant there since '05, so middle manager over there. And prior to that was a sergeant since '98. So I am thrilled to be here. I have, before looking at different positions, this is really the position that I wanted. I researched Northglenn as much as the chief researched, or the background investigators researched me. This is an incredible community. I'm very, very excited to be able to bring some of my skills and talents here to the citizens, to serve our citizens here. The other thing that you should be very proud of, this is my beginning of my 3rd week, and I've met everybody at the police department, met most everybody at City Hall, and the professionalism here is exceptional. So be very proud of that. I'm very proud to be a part of that also. A little more background with me. I was Air Force, so military veteran, and then went into at the Sheriff's Office. Have 3 adult kiddos. My boys are 28 and 26. My daughter is 20. She's the angel. And if you do join us for Wednesday night for the swearing in, you'll be able to meet her. And also my mother, who will be pinning on the badge for me. So that's kind of me in a nutshell. So please fire away with any questions that you might have, but be kind, please. Chief?
Well, if you don't have questions, I'll tell you. So one of the things that I wanted to do was make sure that when they came into the organization during the onboarding, I wanted to make sure that they were in divisions that they could hit the ground running. So I tried to play to their strengths because they already have to learn a whole bunch of, Northglenn stuff, right? So actually, Mike has a lot of experience in operations, so he is going to be running our patrol division. And then Heidi has a ton of experience in investigations, so she's going to be running the investigations, department. The two Rons, I could plug and play them anywhere. So Ron Osgood's going to be support, so he's going to still be overseeing records, training, community policing. And Ron Harrelson's going to be, dealing with emergency management, the budget, and whatever else I throw at him, because he felt, he's right in my suite with me, so I'll keep him really busy. But again, I just wanted to introduce them to you, do our first shot at the first quarterly report and see what you thought, see if you guys wanted it tweaked a little bit. But again, I can't wait to, the things that are going to happen with the police department. Again, trying to get that staffing levels. I already, commander and sergeants are done. Now we'll get officers, and then we'll, rocking and rolling, so.
Are there any comments
questions?
from council?
Just thank you, Jim.
Yeah.
Yes, it was very good.
And
Thank you.
welcome.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
What a great compliment for the two existing commanders that we have. You guys are going to be awesome and take some weight off of your shoulders right now, so.
I'll appreciate that.
Yeah. Thank you. Welcome. Welcome to both of you. Thank you.
Chief,
Sorry, one more question.
sorry.
That's
I tried
okay.
doing this and being quiet this time, so now you know why I'm like really loud. How are you going to bring up your knowledge with the hashtags and going into Instagram and being more relevant in those areas? Are you gonna bring Summer in?
Well, I think, Renee's pretty, Renee Lair's, pretty sharp. She's up on that stuff, so, but we have such a young group of officers too that deal with this every day. So of course, we're gonna try to bring them into, too, and say, hey, how can we do this? And when it comes to recruitment and bringing other people that they can work with, they're excited about it. So, I'm pretty excited to see what they're gonna do with it. So I think, that's the advantage of having such a young group of officers is that, they're up on this stuff, so.
So you're gonna fake your way through it.
So I'm gonna throw down my chisel and hammer, and I'm just gonna go for the computer, and we'll say, I'm not that bad. But it's different. I guess, there's a lot of things with that hashtag could get you in trouble too.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I just,
Proud of you,
we're
Chief.
just gonna do it right. So,
Yeah.
yeah, if you guys have Jordan, Julie, some of you younger ones, Mayor.
We all use it, but
You guys use it?
No.
Man, I'm
You're
hiding
just the
under
only
a
one who
rock.
does.
Chief,
are hiding under a rock.
we can schedule a private tutorial for
Corey's
you.
shaking his head. All right, I'm out of touch. Okay, let's throw back to 1985. I'll bring back my mullet, right?
Oh,
Okay.
yeah. And the other thing I want to say to you is I've known you for a long time. I don't even think we need to put numbers on it. I did not realize you were going to read your report from the back. And that was really a thing with you.
Yeah.
Have you read it back?
Wow.
Well, I just did it this tonight.
Oh, that's
'cause-
it?
Yeah, well, the staffing was first, and I wanted to make sure, so I just
He was
flipped
saving
it.
the best for last.
I looked
How's
at
that?
Councilwoman Downing and I was like, he's really reading it.
I'll change it up.
No. Now I'll know where to go next.
I do have a quick question I thought of actually as you started
Yeah.
to wander off. Do our new commanders have a specialty for the barbecue?
Ooh. Uh-oh.
Actually, I did jump over one. I'm glad you reminded me, our community outreach update. So for the first quarter, we did the Cops versus Kids basketball.
Yeah.
And that was a huge success. And also, the North Metro firefighters came down and played against the police officers. So that was kind of like the warm-up competition before the big red and blue barbecue on June 1st. So, yeah, so it's going to be fun. Oh, I don't know. We didn't keep score.
You didn't keep score, okay, good.
You know who the winner was, Becky.
Heidi now, we're cool. We're gonna make it golden.
Any other questions?
No, but I do want to say that Renee is an excellent PIO because your social media is always great, so.
Yeah, thank you.
I would like you to do a little thing on Wednesday. Besides the swearing in and everything, don't we have our police memorial at E.P. Rains on Wednesday?
That's Thursday night.
That's Thursday.
Candlelight, and that's a good point. Candlelight Vigil, 7 o'clock Thursday night at DB Rains Park.
Thank you.
I hope everybody can go, so.
Thanks, Chief.
We'll be there.
Thank you.
We wouldn't miss it. Thank you. Thank you. Great to meet you. You would have been.
Yeah, I will.
All right. So we will move to communications this evening. We will start with Julie.
All right, I don't have much. I did attend a Mountain Range High School panel for We the People, so I got to hang out with kids, hear them and their answers to some really awesome, I guess, responses to some questions around the amendments. And, you know, they're great, they're smart kids. They actually had some really good arguments that got me thinking, so I was really glad I was able to attend that. And then on Friday, I did attend the Boondocks ribbon cutting, which was phenomenal. It was so cool. They've done a lot to spruce up the place. It looks fantastic. They have a great event, like, room for people to have meetings. I was telling them that I really hope my job does an event there soon, because it'd be fun to, you know, do a quick meeting and then, like, go do the ropes course. So, it was really cool to kind of get to, you know, meet those folks and see the new improvements they've made. And then finally, I know, Mayor, that we did a moment of silence before this meeting to honor Kendrick Castillo, and I really just kind of wanted to, I guess, say again how much, you know, my heart goes up to that family for their loss, and for his bravery. And for me personally, it's really hard to have a school-age child nowadays. I was in junior high when Columbine happened, and the world changed after that. And so, you know, I envy those parents whose kids are out of school, because it breaks my heart. That's something that we have to live with. And so, and then of course we did have an incident at Global Village on Friday where that school was closed. And so, with that said, I did reach out to both Heather and Chief, and to talk about, you know, how can the city continue to support Adams 12 and our families who have to, unfortunately, live now in this new reality. And so I just wanted to kind of put that out there, and, you know, of course, as a school-age mom, I definitely know where a lot of our parents' worries are these days, so, and that's for me.
Yeah, definitely happening way too often, so. Marcy?
So we had our Ward 3 meeting a couple weeks ago, and I think it was really well attended, and I just have to say this was the first time we've had a ward meeting that code was not a major issue. Like, it did not take over the meeting, and people were really happy, and they had great feedback, and were really excited about things that were happening in the city, and that was really felt good. So thank you to all of the staff that supported us in that meeting, and for everybody who came out. And then Food Truck Carnival this weekend, I just wanted to first give a huge amount of thank you to all of the staff who make that happen. It is a major event, and Stephen and Ashley kill it every year and making it wonderful. I had, with Northglenn Community Foundation, we do the adult beverage sales, and one of the folks that I did a wristband for, they drove up from La Junta to attend this event. And so that just says a lot for the events that we do here, that they make that drive up here, and they came up on Saturday. So I thought that was cool. So they kind of get the award for driving the farthest. So I hope we continue that and continue to grow that. Thank you to all the volunteers who supported the Northglenn Community Foundation and gave up their time on weekend to make that happen. And to everybody who came out. It was truly a great event. That's it.
Thank you.
Okay.
Danielle?
I've been a little bit busy. I had to write everything down. Normally I don't write things down. On the 30th, along with Julie, I attended the We the People, Mountain Range High School, and their presentations. The 2nd of May, we had the Adams County Mayor Awards in Aurora. Again, amazing young people. On Saturday, the 4th, I attended the Hispanic Advisory Council's Scholarship Awards for Adams 12. Again, a bunch of great young people. On Wednesday, the 8th, I attended Northglenn's graduation awards, and our senior high school youth commissioner, Everett Renberg, received the Social Studies Student of the Year. And, wow, you know, this guy's going to be a lawyer. Hopefully, maybe you can mentor him, Corey. Again, on the 9th, I did Project Citizen at Northglenn High School. And on Saturday, the 11th, I did the Ramadan dinner at our local Islamic Center. And today, we had a little library at Hillcrest and at Northmore that I attended. I know they had another one over at Malley Drive. And I didn't want to pass up an opportunity to say that the incident with Mr. Castillo in the STEM school in Castle Rock, 3 doors down from me is his cousin. And I mean, this is a small world. This is a small world. When you can walk, my wife was walking up the street and she talked to Ernie Gutierrez and she said, "How you doing today?" He said, "It's a bad day for our family." And then he went on and told the story. And it's just, I mean, it's heartbreaking. And we here in Adams 12, which is our school district, have been extremely fortunate. And I hope that it's through the hard work of the administration and the principals, but we cannot let our guard down. I mean, it's happening so often, and it's a culture. It's a culture that resonates. I mean, I see cars going down the road with bumper stickers. I mean, it just amazes me that the culture has gotten so bad that we don't think about what we are promoting. And Chief, you got a big job ahead of you. New commanders, you got a big job ahead of you. That's all I have. Thank you very much, Mayor.
All right, thank you. Yes, it did seem like there were a lot of events, as I feel like I hadn't gone to a lot of events, but I did attend, along with Councilmember Downing, the CASA Volunteer Recognition event, and the mayors that are in the 17th, that make up the 17th Judicial. And Joyce also signed the proclamation of support of CASA's mission. So that was a really great event. They've got amazing volunteers at CASA. So Joyce and I think, stood up when they asked if anybody was going to be a CASA advocate one day. One day we are. We are. Just not right now.
We actually, and then as we walked out the door, they said,
Who? Who? Yeah, so that was a great event, and along with Antonio, I was at the Adams County Mayors and Commissioners Youth Awards presentation where they award scholarships to deserving students, and that was a great event at Stanley Marketplace. A lot of council members were at the Almost Home Spring Out of Homelessness Gala. Almost Home does a great job of taking care of the homeless situation and finding housing for a lot of people who need it. And I was definitely glad to be there that evening. I think they do such a wonderful job, so that is a great organization. I was invited along with Heather Geyer to attend the Colorado Prayer Luncheon downtown by Pastor Kim Scadam, who we love, and this is typically an event that combines government officials, faith leaders, and business leaders, just to see if we can brainstorm and also try and help those in need in our communities. You know, the governor is there, he makes a presentation, the Mayor Hancock was there, made a presentation. There were a lot of great speakers that day. It is very inspiring to attend that event, so I am very glad that this is my second time attending and being asked by Pastor Scadam, and I love going to that. So that was really wonderful. Food Truck Carnival, I can echo everything that Marcy said. Staff knocks it out of the park every year. It was very well attended and fun. I did a little library project today with Antonio, And I just want to say the Youth Commission is amazing. That is a cool project. I don't know how much you had to do with it, but I love that they came up with that idea. Those little containers that they put all the books in are so cool. And honestly, it was so fun to see at, which school? At Hillcrest today. Nope, not Hillcrest. Northmore. Whenever the kids would say what book they were putting into the library, the kids were like, I love that book. So whereas at the other ones, it was a little more relaxed, these kids, and they had the entire school out, so it was a lot more, they were a lot more vocal. But honestly, every book that they said, these kids were so excited that they were seeing them go into the boxes. What a cool project. I love that the Youth Commission is doing that. That is awesome. They did a great job also. They did all the presenting, handled it all themselves. And then earlier this evening, we attended the Spill the Tea grand opening and ribbon cutting, and that is a boba tea, what do you want to call it? Not a service, just a store, I don't know. Anyway, it's a restaurant. If you like boba teas, they're located in the Huron Center and run by really great people. So great business to add to Northglenn, as we do not have a boba tea store in Northglenn. And now we do. That's it.
My whole thing is about the food truck carnival, because I had such a great time, and I'm so blessed to be working with the Northglenn Foundation with Marcy and several other people. And I also worked with the, God, I might have to stand up and scream it. The Citizens Police, Citizens Police Alumni Association. I was their spokeswoman yesterday. I'm not part of that organization. But I did have a really good time talking to the people, visiting with people, scored an invite to the Taste of Fort Collins to see Uncle Cracker. So that could be fun. But it was a really good time. I don't know if you guys realize this, but our very own Stephen Stokes is going to speak at CML about carnivals, and the food truck carnival, and Pirate Fest and everything. It's going to be very exciting. And I don't know about you guys, but I'm going to ramble for a minute. I really liked the musicians that strolled all around, and I really love the St. Louis. It seemed to me maybe, or New Orleans. Yeah. It was just great. There was a mariachi band there, Antonio, and that was great. They strolled and played and stuff. That was really fun. It was just a great event. But what I really liked, and I warned you guys I was going to, ramble, was the fact that so many people I got to meet, and they would ask questions like, how did you get involved? And we talked about, the family, because we started when we moved here picking up trash. So that's how we started our journey of volunteering for the city of Northglenn. So it was real fun to share that with people and get them excited about what, Northglenn's all about and all that good stuff. So we had a really good time. And Colton, right? That's his name. Who was the kid that was with me in the Please have his name wrong.
They don't
know him. Last name.
Connor. Connor
I
Mercer.
did the same thing when I went home. Thank you. That kid, he cannot bark like I can, but man, can he serve the water up? Because we served in 2 days a little over 900 bottles of water. So that was pretty crazy. We had a great time.
That's good.
Obviously, I'm the one who loves all the festivals and events. I do love going to them.
We all.
I know.
Okay,
Oh, yeah.
Joy? Just one thing, because we've covered pretty much what everybody else has been doing, and I've been to some of those. But I just wanted to thank Dwayne Tidwell and the board for continuing on with NYI. This is an organization that started many, many, many years ago. And it stemmed from the property that Jordan Perlmutter actually donated to the city because they were going to put a youth center on it. And then it just kind of went from there. So I am so happy that they're continuing, since we sold the property, that they're continuing to help the youth of Northglenn with the grants. So I just wanted to kind of let you guys know that. This has been a group since Jordan was involved with everything, so, yeah. That's it.
All right, so many things. The only addition I have to the food truck carnival are those stop signs were super cool.
Yeah.
And so I want to see if we can keep those. I saw the news from Heather about those, and if we can keep them, I think that's a great idea. They were very cool. They lit up Community Center Drive. And that was, I was freezing, so I had to go home and get my coat and come back. So I had crossed the street a couple of times, and that did help with safety, because that was a super busy area. And then the block party trailer was so cool. So they had it out. I didn't really clearly have a vision for all the cool things that would be in that trailer. And so that was really fun to see, so aside from everything else, those are two additions. And then I just want to kind of put two things that you guys said together. Everett was the brainchild of the little library.
He was.
Oh, really?
And so a year and a half ago, he was just this young, spunky kid that just kept going, little libraries, little libraries. And the youth commission was just like, oh, okay, we'll get to that. And he had such perseverance for that project and such passion for it. And he just kept driving it home. They did a bunch of other things, and he just kept going, no, little libraries, please. And so it came to fruition, unfortunately, on the day he was graduating.
Yeah, I heard that today. He was graduating.
So, but such a great thing. So, and Amanda really did so much work around that with the city, and I wish I had the names of the people that helped with the hammering and the nailing and really helped the kids literally construct it and paint it, because there was some city staff that helped with that too, so. They were awesome. Spill the Tea is fantastic. You should go get some boba tea. That was a really fun ribbon cutting. It's a beautiful location, beautiful shop. Boondocks is awesome. Almost Home was great. Marcy was there. And I want everyone to know that, because you were the only one that was not introduced that night, and I felt terrible.
I bought my tickets and I intentionally didn't want to.
Okay, well, I just outed
Thank
her.
you.
Marcy was there. That was very nice. And then Joanna and I actually went to the Food for Hope dinner, and John mentioned Food for Hope earlier. It's such a great organization. The backpacks, meals for kids is so important, but even the food that they provide at the high school level in a more covert manner, so that it's kind of cool to get food at the high school level. So that's an awesome organization, and you know how I love to give my money away, so I love going to all those things.
I think everyone really highlighted a lot of the big events for the last few weeks, so nothing tonight.
Okay,
Thanks.
thank you. Joanna?
I have nothing tonight either, Mayor. Thank you.
Heather?
Just a couple quick things, Mayor Dodge. Tomorrow, Amanda forwarded an email about the Adams County Commissioners. They will be hearing 2 awards for the city of Northglenn, funding in the amount of $375,000 for improvements to Sensory Park, along with a grant award of $150,000 for Justice Center West Park design efforts. That public hearing will be tomorrow at the county facility at 9:30 a.m. and hope that several of you can attend. There will be a ceremony where we'll receive our grant award, and then a photo will be taken after that ceremony. A quick update for you, staff estimates so far are approximately 40,000 attendees over the course of the 3 days at the Food Truck Carnival, and just can't echo enough a thanks to staff and a thanks to all of you and the rest of our community members that come out and support the festival. I was thoroughly impressed with the support from all of you. That's something that I have not experienced thus far in my career, and just really appreciated getting to work alongside each of you that were there, whether you were serving alcohol or accepting credit cards. I think I can probably do that in my sleep. But the technology was great, and it just really goes back to the heart of this community and what makes us really special and unique in Northglenn. And the last thing is Amanda passed on bookmarks from the Little Library celebration, so I have one for each of you this evening.
Great, thank you. Corey?
Just briefly, I'm going to try to do this without losing it. As I think I mentioned to you in my emails, Northglenn lost its longtime water attorney. And so I wanted to recognize this out here because he took tremendous pride, Bill Fisher did, in being Northglenn's water attorney for many years. And so I'll be attending his funeral on Monday, but I wanted to certainly express my condolences to his family on my behalf, and I think on behalf of the city.
Thank you. He was an amazing guy. When he would come in here, I mean, he could present and joke at the same time. He always made it so understandable, and he was very lighthearted. Just a really wonderful guy. So I think that's your attending. Thank you. No?
I've got two things. One was, Heather, thank you for jumping in on volunteering, because that was fun to watch you on your first thing. I don't think we hit upon the police officers appreciation week that this whole week is about that. And I think that it's really important that we remember to thank a police officer when you see them. Remember that this is the week of appreciation. Okay, that was all I wanted to say.
Thank you very much. And I just want to add, not to beat a dead horse with the little libraries, because we really like it, but the whole idea of a little library is that it's just placed in a very public area at those 3 schools. You can go there, and the idea is if you take a book, you have to leave a book. So if anyone is so inclined to go past any of those locations, I donated a few books. Everybody, all the youth commissioners did. And you could write something in the cover if you would like to. Leave some books for those little libraries. That's how it's going to keep going. So I just wanted to throw that out there to you guys and the residents. There is no public to be heard, so we were going to go right past that. And I am going to move to adjourn the regular meeting to enter into executive session pursuant to Section 4.5, Parent B of the City of Northglenn Home Rule Charter for the review of applications for any appointed position. Interviews and appointments shall be conducted at an open meeting.
Second.
Joanna, would you open the vote, please?
The vote is open.
Please vote.
I'll close that vote, and the motion to adjourn to executive session passes unanimously.
Thank you. We are adjourned, and we will take a break until Brandon gets a chance to tear down the equipment.
I think we're going to go up.
We're going to go upstairs
Upstairs? I'm sorry,
to the
I didn't know
city
that.
manager's office.